Okay. There's only a couple people and they're going to get them. All right, guys, hold on. Nathan, I'll tell you what happened. So we
I'm
had.
just saying, this happens every time I take a nap, so.
Well, you need to stay up then.
If I've got to stay awake. What is that, like Freddy Krueger?
Yeah,
All the
exactly.
bad stuff happens.
Yeah, the nightmares.
So, all right, getting back to it, we just had 2 clients ASA, right?
Nathan and.
Yeah. No, it's okay. We all know who it was. And here's the thing, right? Like, it's sad. Okay, it was Nathan and
MC.
Mark.
Not really.
Okay.
But here's, so here's my opinion. This is the way I know it's a disease. I know it's a part of drug addiction and alcoholism. I already know what it is. But it's sad because it could be their last, you know what I mean? Like, it's a matter of life or death. Like, so it's sad. And here's the thing. Everybody knows we got a few people here that aren't doing the right thing, right? And it's so infectious and contagious, and it messes with the whole energy and vibe and the flow of this place. And it's like every single person in here right now, I've seen all of yous show up to groups and do the work and invest into yourself. You know what I mean? And it's just sad when something like that happens because, Arthur, what are they running back out to?
Drugs.
And what goes along with that? With the drug addiction lifestyle? Like anything good?
Nothing.
No.
I don't have a lot of idea what they're running back to.
What did he say?
Insurance should
I don't have
recognize
a
what
lot of
it
idea
was.
what they're running back to.
Well, I mean,
That was a waste.
I don't know if you use your mind.
but I mean, do you think they're running?
I don't know.
Really?
No, really?
I don't
You
know.
do? You
Of
read
course
their
I
minds?
do. Yeah, I don't read minds. I read.
Mind reader?
What do you mean read their minds? I know what they're leaving for.
I don't.
I don't know. I mean, I don't think anybody ever left treatment to go to church and to do service. You know what I mean? Like, that's not what it is. Like, when you're leaving out of here like that, when you're on fire like that, like, it's to do one thing.
Being me up, Scotty.
Yeah.
Are they walking down the road?
No. Nathan had his car here.
Oh.
So, man, it sucks. It really does. This happens, like I was just telling Cameron. I've been here for years, and I've seen a lot of different type of stuff like this. It doesn't happen too frequently, but it's not something that doesn't happen. So, whatever. Like, it's the disease. This is the disease. Like, what were we saying the other day when Michael was talking about it? Like, the part of our brain that we rewire the part of our brain where the absolute most important thing, the thing that's driving us, is the thing that is killing us. Like, if you break that down, is our brains are hardwired to kill ourselves. Suicide by the installment plan. That's what it is. We're poisoning ourselves, and we do it with the idea of, this is going to be good. This is going to make us feel good. We're going to poison ourselves, and then we're going to wind up either quickly or slowly. We're going to wind up dead. So Amy was talking before about forgiveness, right? About forgiving yourself.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think you do that? Well, let's first of all, with a show of hands, who's like really embarrassed or ashamed or just not okay with the things that they've done due to their drug addiction or alcoholism? I mean, like, I don't, like, it's not something that makes us proud, right?
Right.
So how do you think you forgive yourself for it? Go ahead.
Can I speak from personal experience?
Please, well, that's, yes.
For me, in the past, in order for me to forgive myself, the only way I was able to do it was through the steps. And not only was I able to forgive myself, but I was able to heal, let go of the crutches or excuses that I carried with me, and grow. But the forgiveness is the most important part.
Well, here's what allowed me to forgive myself. Because, especially in the last few years, whatever it was, I really thought I was just a piece of shit who was doing piece of shit things. Because in the beginning, I thought I was a good person that just did some bad things. And then when I really accepted, figured it out, did the work, did the research, and really understood that I was sick, I had a disease, I said, oh, okay. Not that it lets me off the hook for anything I did, because I was still the person that did it, right? But still, it wasn't because I was a good person doing bad things. Like I was a sick person. Like I couldn't stop. Because here's the thing: if I could, like, I didn't have, like, did any of us do the things that we did with the intention on hurting the people around us? Yeah, like we weren't like, hey, I get to get high and piss her, like, and hurt everybody. That's a win-win. No, that's not the way it was. So when I realized I was sick, I said, okay. Now, what do I got to do so that I never have to do that again? Because Amy's right. Amy's right. Like, it's the way, because when you do a step 4, you have to be in a normal step 4. You know that, right? Because the resentment against ourselves, like, that's the biggest one that we got going. So to let that go and to forgive yourself, that's the biggest thing. Because once you can do that, but once you can accept or realize the fact that you were sick, then it's like, what do I got to do to get better? What do you got to do to get better, Cameron? For you, what are you going to have to do?
Learn to let go.
Learn to let go, but when you work the steps, like what she just said, you get clean, you get sober, you work the steps, that's when you start to, that's when you get to do it. Because I don't know about you, but there wasn't no just letting go while I was in treatment. I carried that stuff around. Listen, I'm going to keep it real. I still think about some of the stuff that I did and the lies and the things that I did. Like, you're still not okay with a lot of that stuff. You know what I mean? But if I'm really sorry for it, what do I do?
You gotta take.
Not, well, I don't do it again, right? Like, you can't say sorry and keep doing it. You know what I mean? Like, if every time I seen you guys and I kicked you in the stomach and then said sorry for it, you might forgive me the first few times. But every single time I seen you and did that, you'd forget, he's not sorry. You know what I mean? Like, no, he's not. But if I did it once and then never did it again, you'd be like, all right, he was really sorry. So I know.
You gotta hold yourself accountable.
Yeah, because
You know what you're,
it
realize
is-
what you've done.
Yeah. But I really want to say we have to live in the solution and not the problem. That's what this whole thing is packaged.
At this stage of the game, for me, in the recovery, what if you just not there,
Just not where.
able to forgive yourself?
Well, listen, I just had said that. There was no way, like what Cameron said, oh, you just gotta let go. When I was sitting where you were sitting, there was no not just letting go. I carried that shit. Like what Ashley was saying, when I did the steps and I did, because here's the thing, I didn't even decide that I was gonna do the rest of the steps until I did the real step 1. When I really did step 1 and I looked at everything and I realized that I was sick. I said, oh man, like I am really sick, like I'm a sick person, like I have a disease. This is what, like when I really started doing my research and listening and, you know, doing the big book and all, I said, oh man. And it really was like, listen Patrick, it was like 110 days in before I realized that this, and like I tell you all the time, I didn't really believe that this was going to work, but like, I knew that I had to do something. I was willing to try it. I didn't think it was going to work, but I was willing to try it. So yeah, where you're sitting, I wasn't going to be able to do that. You just have to sit there and sit with that and then do the rest of the work.
But it's like, I believe it's gonna work, but will it work for me?
Well, listen, because here's the whole thing. I didn't believe it was going to work. Like maybe I believed other people said that it would work for them. I never thought it could work for me. Never. But I got to the point where I was willing to try because I had realized whether I'm getting high or not, I'm miserable. Like, if I go out there and if I go to treatment and I leave, I can stay sober for a little bit of time. I told you, I can get 6 months. I've gotten 6 months a few times. Always at least 3 or 4 months. I can do that. And then I wind up getting high again. Like, so I'm miserable the whole entire time. And then all I want to do is get high. And then I finally get high and I'm actually more miserable than when I was. But I couldn't hold on. So all right, let me just try it. Let me just try, even if there's a 10% chance it could work. Why not just try it and see where it goes? I'm telling you, 100% of the people that do what that book says, it works for them. Anybody that you meet that stands here like I do and tells you, I did what that book told me to do and what other people told me to do. I mean, like we read in the book the other day, what seemed like a flimsy read. Right now it seems like a flimsy read. You hang in there long enough, it'll feel like the loving, all-powerful hand of God. You'll feel it, you'll say, oh shit, this really does work. Yes, Arthur?
I've been on step 4 about 3 weeks now, and once I really adapt to it, what it was actually really saying, because the inventory thing, I never heard nothing about no people doing no inventory on it, so. I mean, canned goods in the store and stuff like that, but when I first did it, I was sorry, and I was mad,
At yourself?
At myself.
Yeah.
I mean, because man, I'm looking back now. You know what I'm saying, at the time, and I'm looking back at the things that I've done. Then when I actually really did that, then I'm ashamed.
Yeah.
Now I've come to the point of forgiving myself, and the only reason why I come to that is because I told myself that, hey man, you done it, that's a done deal. There, you just can't do that no more.
And listen, and you were sick.
Yeah.
You weren't like some evil mastermind who was trying to do. You were sick, so it's like, okay. So even though it doesn't completely give us a get out of jail free card, it was able to me to forgive myself or let myself off the hook enough just to keep going. Because man, when I tell you how much I hated myself, I hated myself. I couldn't look in the mirror. I couldn't even look up. I would look up to give you eye contact just to let you know I recognize you and that you were there. But for the most part, I kept my head down because I was ashamed. I was guilty.
The thing is,
Okay, go ahead, Arthur, and then I got you.
I was at that point before I even went to
Walked in the door?
yeah, even walked in the door, man. It was time that for real, I'm talking about for real, that I was gonna kill myself.
Yeah.
Because my drinking put a real whammy on me, especially once I got my divorce. I'm still going through that, but the answer for me now today is that the only way I'll be able to correct that is to say sober. Don't drink, because I'm gonna tell you now, it ain't no all that old bull crap about, oh, I'm just gonna take a couple of drinks. That's days. I don't even know what that means.
No, hey, right now, we're having the very same conversation. You are living with the right, your sanity is there, your perspective is right, and that's true, because I think what you've done now is you've looked at your whole entire drinking career as it is, and you've never had a couple. There was never just a few. And that's what we have to do. We have to stay there, because here's the truth. When you leave here, if you don't continue to do the work, if you don't continue to stay up on it, this crazy idea that you could just have a couple will sound like a good idea. You know what I mean? That's the whole mind fuck of this whole thing. Your brain will lie to you. It'll say, because like we were saying before, like on a subconscious and a conscious level, we've made this the absolute most important thing in the world to us. And unless we do the work to change the way we look at things, we're always going to look at things the same way, and we're always going to, because here's the deal. You cannot change the way you act unless you change the way you think. You have to do the work to change the way you think, and this is how you change the way you think. You act your way into right thinking. So you start doing the things, because this is the thing, guys. Everybody in here, I see everybody paying attention, everybody doing it, and I applaud it, because that's what it's going to take to get better. But you need to go to every single group. You need to go to the AA meetings, because you never know when you're going to hear something. You never know when that light bulb's going to go off. Because if you do what you think, if you just do what you think is going to, because you guys say it to me all the time, Mike, your group's so good. Man, Mike, thank you. And then some people will say to me, man, I don't like AA. I've went before and it's not this. And I say to them all the time, like, I don't care if you like it or not. That's what it's gonna take to get you better. Or if it's not AA, if it's cognitive behavioral therapy, if it's refuge recovery, if it's smart recovery, if it's celebrate recovery. Because what do they call AA, the 12 steps? They call it a what, a program? Because what do you think you're doing?
Programming yourself.
You're reprogramming yourself. Because your program is suicide. Your brain is trying to kill you, and you never see it coming. Like if every single person in here had a twin, and that twin just walked through life with you, and they just wanted the best for you, and they wanted you to make good decisions and stuff that would help you thrive and do good. How long before you think your twin leaves you? I say at the age of 17, mine's like, you know what, I've had enough. You know what I'm saying? Like, because, like I say, if you don't think you're crazy, just remember, like these two gentlemen that walked out of here, it seemed like a good idea to them, right? Couldn't talk them out of it. Tried to talk them out of it. Everything you've ever done at the time was a good idea, and you couldn't be talked out of it.
Yeah, it's like you just said, or you hinted at, you can't think your way into right living. You have to live your way into right thinking. And so that comes first. And like what Patrick was saying, like I think everybody has that same problem. Like it's easier for us to forgive others than it is to forgive ourselves. But I'm sitting here thinking about it, I'm like, I think that's ego. Because it's like, okay, why is it right for them to, I can forgive them, but yet I'm unredeemable because I'm so unique, terminally unique, and I'm such a bad person. My sins can't be forgiven, but I can forgive them for what they did, but I can't forgive myself. It's like almost hypocritical.
Well, exactly, and it is the ego, because here's what a guy told me in Boston, and it blew my mind, because this is what I was telling him. I'm like, because Mike, you need to stop beating yourself up. And you know what I told him? I said, listen, if a person out there would have did 10% of the shit to my family that I did, I'd do a lot more than beat them up. You know what I mean? I'm just realistic. And I said, I'm a piece of shit. And he laughed. No, you're not, Mike. I said, no. Here's why. I go to work. I coach Little League. I go to daddy-daughter dances. I do this, I do that, right? And I enjoy kind of doing that stuff. But as far as the paying the bills and going to work, I do that stuff because I'm supposed to. All the stuff that like excites me and gets me out of bed in the morning, it's all the shit that everybody around me is going, you need to stop that. Do you understand what I'm saying? So you can't tell me I'm not a piece of shit. And he's like, Mike, the problem with that morbid self-reflection and that type of stuff is you're still just thinking about yourself. And I was like, man. Because he's like, so, because what are you trying, like, and this is what I want to ask every single person that's in this room. What do you want your legacy to be? What do you want to, what is your main goal? Because every time I say, what's your main goal? Everybody says, I just want to stay clean and sober. I'm like, really? Because that should be your beginning goal. Your main goal should be to be the absolute best Arthur, Patrick, William, Cameron, the best human being that I can possibly be. Because when you are the best that you could possibly be, who benefits? Everyone around you. Everybody you come in contact with. Because as human beings, remember we were talking about before, Ashley, that you did a lot of things for acceptance. All of us want to be accepted and loved and liked, and we want to be useful. It's built into our nature. I mean, not only do we want that, we need that. But what are we doing with our drug addiction, alcoholism, Frederick? What are we doing?
Spinning circles.
And spinning circles and isolating and poisoning ourselves and pushing everybody away when we really want to be bringing everybody in, right? Good.
See, it's like this, man. Like a lot of times we live our life and we say, oh, it's not what you do, it's how you do it. It probably used to be like that, but like right now, everybody in the room has reached that point to where it's like, it ain't just what you doing, it's how you do it. It's like, what the fuck we doing? And not only that, you know what I'm saying? It's like, I done had people that didn't even use drugs, man, and then they turn like 30, 40 years old, then they decide to start using. And then at the funeral, you know what I'm saying? It's like, I got my younger cousins, my uncles, my homeboys and shit like that. Different people, you know, different funerals, people in the casket and shit like that. Then, you know what people at the funeral saying, your own family and friends? Well, you know, he was messing with that, such and such. You know he was messing with that. And then you got the kids sitting right there. So now, look at this shit disrespectful, man. You got this man dead in the casket. And now his kids, they daddy went out like a dope fiend. Their mama went out like a dope fiend. That shit gonna live with them kids the rest of their life, man. That shit is hard.
But here's the truth, though. Didn't they?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like I said, like I don't know about you, but I don't want to be in that casket and then going, man, he had so much potential. Man, thing got the best of him. He tried, but he didn't. You know what I mean? Like every single person in here has this amazing opportunity to go out there and rewrite their narrative. Because guys, we were all headed the wrong way. You know what I mean? And we can all head the opposite way. And it's like, I say this all the time. Does America not love the underdog story? People love to see you come up, man. Your family will have a different type of love and respect and be proud of you instead of loving you and really not respecting you and being stuck with you. You know what I mean? Because that's really what it comes down to. Because, listen, let's be real. You're either a gift to the people around you or a burden. There's kind of no in between. You know what I mean? Like, there's not too many people that are basically just in the middle. So you are either breathing life and giving. Because who's the people that, like, Patrick, the people, I'm just going to say this, your wife, right? I met your wife. She seems like a loving, giving, spiritually kind, selfless person. Is she not the most important person in your life?
Yes.
Right? Yeah. Like, and usually when I ask everybody who had the biggest impact, who's the one, and it's usually somebody tells me like their grandparents or their mother or somebody that like their relative that was just so kind and they were nothing but love and positive and lifted them up and they were selfless people. Like, these are the people that make the biggest impact on our lives, right? These, like, don't you want to be that? Don't you want to be somebody that, like, everybody can count on? And when you walk into a room, they're happy you're there. They're not rolling their eyes on this one. You know what I'm saying? Wonder how much he did today. Wonder what he needs now. Wonder what crazy story he's got for us. Come on, right? Am I wrong?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't tell anybody I was here. And I talked to you about it, and I said, Mike, should I call my mom? And that's how sick I am, you know. And I got to get permission because I don't trust myself. And it was hey baby, I knew you was in the hospital, I just need to hear your voice. That's what my mom said, I love you, I love you, I love you. I would expect that. I would expect none of that. So I called my two sisters. I told my little sister, I said, you know, I am so embarrassed. She said, for what? You getting your life together?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. It's so crazy. People are like, I don't want people to know I'm in AA. I'm like, they knew you were in the doghouse. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, all of a sudden, we don't want them to know we're getting better.
Yeah, so that's how sick, you know, I am. I mean, it's...
Listen, can I explain? This is how sick we, listen what I'm about to say. This is how sick we are. Everything that it takes to get better, to grow, and to thrive, and to do this, it will literally go against every self-reliant natural instinct that you have. Because your instinct is to kill yourself. Do you understand? Listen, when everybody leaves here, when you show up, if you show up and you go to a meeting that's outside, and this is the thing, the meeting's not going to be with all of us. You know what I mean? Because we all have a good relationship, like we all know each other. It's going to be 28 or 15 or 35 strangers. And every voice you have is going to be gone. Sit in the back, don't say nothing. If you do say something, don't let any, you know what I mean? Because all of a sudden we're worried about how we look again. Because we're so afraid to be embarrassed or ashamed, or we're afraid to put ourselves out there. A lot of times we're afraid to put ourselves out there because we've been hurt in the past and all this other shit. But it's like, this is what it takes to get better. You need to go in there and, like what Amy was saying in the last group about, remember how she, you know, kicked the lady out the wheelchair and she had this conversation. You think like her instinct like was to run up and have that type of conversation? Do you think that was something that if she wanted to do it, she wanted to do it because she knew what it was going to be? And like the initial thing to go have that uncomfortable conversation is to run and hide and not do it. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like even when I was in the beginning, like going and I'm going through I was so embarrassed or ashamed to be going through a divorce. Like I felt like it made me look, I didn't know what it was, but it was something I didn't want to talk about. And then you know what somebody told me? They said, Mike, you're just another guy going through a divorce. And I was like, holy shit, he's right. But you know what I mean? It was like something that I didn't want to let that go. I don't know why. And then I realized, especially in the meetings or in therapy, whatever, man, I need to talk about the stuff that I'm trying to hold on to the most. Because remember I told you this the other day, JB taught me this? You can't heal what you don't reveal. You cannot heal what you don't reveal. And this is one thing I've learned. Pain shared is pain lessened. When we put that shit out there and we get it out there, it might not, whatever you've been through, whatever is going on, whatever you got, like whatever it is, maybe not fix it all by sharing it, but you're gonna make you feel a little bit better. And you do it a little bit at a time, and we need to, listen, like you just said, you realize how sick you are. Like, what was the first thing I said when you asked me that? I said, yes, let her know, she's worried about you. I mean, we need to, like when I say, like that's the crazy shit. Like when you're gonna be sitting at home, and I know how you guys get when the temperature's dropping the 40s. Oh my God, it's freezing. Temperature's dropping the 40s, it's cold now. I don't feel like going outside. All of a sudden, like, do you understand what I'm saying? You need to not, like you need to ask a sponsor or whatever you need to religiously follow that program and every single day keep moving forward. Because if you don't, I mean, listen, this thing kills people on a regular basis. This thing is an animal. It is an animal. If you are in this room, you are in for the fight of your life. I say this all the time. Could you imagine if we were all boxers? You're a boxer and you're fighting Mike Tyson. Not a good idea, but whatever. You think you could win. You think you could fight? Who's going to be there in the front row? Who'd you give the good tickets to? Your family.
Yeah, my
Your family. Your family's sitting in the front row and you're fighting, and Tyson is addiction to alcoholism and it is kicking your fucking ass.
Yeah.
And they're watching you and they're going, please man, just give up. Throw in the towel. And you know what you're telling them? I got this. I'm fine. I'm good. And we run to the corner and they're like, oh. And we breathe a little bit, like we come into a treatment center, we get our shit together, and we start feeling a little bit better. And they're like, you know what, I think I'm fine. And we go right back, we walk right back in the middle, and Tyson starts beating the shit out of us again, and then our family says the same type of shit that we say. I don't know what happened, I was doing so good. I was doing so good. You were doing it. What are you doing now? Yes, Arthur.
You know, the thing that with me when I got here was, first before I got here, you know, my team at the VA, some of them said, you need to go there. But the thing was, this here with me was like, damn, how I'm gonna live and, you know, without drinking.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But then, as time passed and everything like that, you know, going to process groups, hearing other people talk, the people that comes in and reading, you know, my big book and everything like that, I just realized that, first of all, I don't want to drink no more. So I got that down pat. And then I have two, you know, I work the 12 steps. First I get me a sponsor. I work the 12 steps and I start going to meetings. I honestly, in my heart and my mind, feel that I'm gonna be good because I don't want to drink.
Yeah.
So, you know, that'll be the things that I need to do.
And listen, I love hearing that, and that's great, and stick with that. But it says it right in the book, how it says a guy in the beginning, right? Will say stuff like, I don't even want to drink no more. And it says right in the book, we smile at such a savvy. Because we know, I know this for a fact, that unless you keep doing what you were doing, like you are now, there'll come a time where you'll want to drink it. That's how strong this thing is.
For sure, the alcohol.
Yeah. Like I asked some gentlemen before they left, I said, what about being a drug addict is appealing to you? Like, what are you running back out to? It's like, here's the deal. They couldn't sit still. They couldn't sit in their own self long enough. I mean, that's what this thing is about. It's hard. It's hard. In here, it's a lot easier than out there. In here, we have each other. In here, we kind of keep you guys busy. In here, there's some things going on. But the absolute worst place for Mike was in a quiet room all by himself. Sitting with a man, because I told you, that's my default setting. My voice starts going, man, you're no good, man, this is that, man, you're just this, you're just that. Like, it starts putting me down and putting me in a place and making me feel worse. And I start thinking about the things I did and said and done, and the lows that this shit brought me to, and it's like, I hate myself. I hate myself. And I'm here to tell you that, like, you know, they'll tell you, like, you need to love yourself. And I'm not really sure I know what loving myself is like, but I know I don't hate myself. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I'm not walking around going, man, I'm fucking awesome. Like, that's not what it is. I just don't hate myself like that. Like, I know in the last 4 years and 9 months or whatever it is, that like, I've done my best and I've tried my best. And I've been willing to take advice from people that knew what they were talking about. And I work every single day to be the best and to do the best. And it's like my relationships and everything. And it's like, if I died today, like, that's what they would say. Man, he overcame it, he helped people, he did this, he did, you know what I mean? They don't say he had a lot of potential. You know what I mean? That's what they would, listen, if I would have died of an overdose years ago, it would have just been like, man, he had so much potential. He was a good guy, bud. You know what I'm saying? He was a good guy, but, I mean, I would have left 3 kids, young kids, without a father. And that's the last thing I want them to do. I don't want, man. Like I said, I want to try to give as much as I can. Guys, who in here thinks they're going to live to 100? Okay, but I'm just saying, but even if you did, right, like that's cool. Like, what's 100 years? Like, it sounds like a lot, and this, that. We have a very short time on this earth. A very short time. And it's like, you know, what you think is important or what, having fun or, anybody live life like YOLO, right? You only live once. But here's the deal. You live every day. You're alive. You only really die once. You know what I mean? Like, I was in treatment, I was like, because they would tell me, Mike, you need to live one day at a time. I'm like, that's what got me in here. I was taking one day at a time. Every day I thought I was, to throw myself a party. Live life up, you know what I mean? Like, I thought life was about taking care of responsibilities and having as much fun as possible. I used to say to my friends, I don't want to wake up 60 and wish I had more fun. My friends used to say, you ain't making it to 60, my guy. You keep living, you know what I mean? Like, my friends were like, yo, you're not gonna make it. It's like, shit, I don't have to, you guys, we were having this conversation before you guys got here. Like, life used to be about if for me, and now it's about is. What I mean by that is, if this, if I had that, if I could do this, if that, if. It was constant, like, if. And, like, even being in this treatment center, right? Like, man, if we had more counselors, or if this, if that, or whatever, Well, yeah, if we had 6 Dr. Phils, maybe it would be a little bit better. What this place is, the Patricks, the Amy's, the Victors, the Jodys, the Jarvises, the people that are here, I mean, man, the kitchen staff, the nursing staff, Ike is crazy as hell, but Ike cares. Ike is probably the most sincere, full of shit man I've ever met. You know what I mean? But like, he cares when he sees people come in. I mean, we all really, really care about you guys. We want to see you get better. We want to see you do better. If you don't believe in you, I believe in you. That's why, like, I get upset when I see people walk out of here, because I'm like, I know what it takes. I know how close they are. And I know how close they are to death. I mean, guys, it is. Do you understand what I'm saying? Very thin margin for error on this thing. You're either doing all the right thing. Listen to me. You're either doing all the right things or the wrong thing. Yeah, that's it. Like I was saying, just going to my groups, or just going to the groups that you think, or just doing this, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to, like, you're either all or nothing. It's either all in.
I understand that, but just myself, after I've been in about 3 weeks or so,
Oh.
I get where if I don't take a break for an hour or 2 away from things, then I'm not getting anything anyway.
Here's the thing. I get that, okay? Here's the thing. I get that. Listen, I promise you, I understand. But when you leave here, if you're not pushing yourself, do you understand what I'm saying? Like, because to me, it's like, I get what you're saying, but I'm like, are you telling me you can't tough it out one day at a time?
Oh, I'm toughing out one day at a time, but then I'll end up leaving here. If I don't take a break, I'll end up leaving here and I won't follow through with it for the 11th time.
Well, and this is, and what I'm telling you is, that's bullshit.
You think so?
Yeah, and listen, please don't,
I like
what I'm
that.
saying is, if you don't look at it every single day, like, all right, all I gotta do today is do what I say I'm gonna do, right? Like, all I gotta do is get through today, and then I'll get through tomorrow, and then I'll get through tomorrow. Because if you say like, well, if I go to groups every single day, then I'm just gonna wind up leaving, and I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna be like, man, I know you're tougher than that. I know you can do it. I know you can make it. You just listen, guys, you gotta really hate this disease. You gotta hate what it does to you, and you gotta fight it. Do you understand what I'm saying? If you just, like, it's like this thing is an animal. This thing is an animal.
Oh, I know, and it's for the rest of our lives, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I know that, you know, and when you look at it for that long a time, you know, it's like, that's overwhelming, you know, it's like, damn, I need a break already, and I ain't even been here a week, you know what I mean? I gotta do this shit for the rest of my life.
Well,
That's my mentality, and I know it's stupid.
well, here's the truth. You don't have to go to 7 groups a day
Right.
and an AA meeting and this and that every day for the rest of your life. But here's the deal. And you're retired, so you won't. But a lot of us have to get up and go to work every day.
Right.
And then you need to get up and go to a meeting every day. And you need to talk with your sponsor. And you need to listen to shit on your phone. And you need to read the book. And you need to do that, especially in the beginning. Because if you, like, I mean, I don't know how else to say it. Like, this thing's an animal, man. It will kill you. It will kill you if you don't go at it with the same type of energy that it's coming at you with. You know what I'm saying? If you lollygag it, it's gonna get you. And I just, yeah.
Hey, Mike, I don't know how much time you have to think, but when did you stop living in the problem and start living in the answer?
Well,
I read that in a big book multiple times.
like I was saying, I was just saying this before, because I remember it. It was about day 100.
Did everybody hear the question?
Yeah, it was about day 110 when I realized. I mean, because I've heard people say it before, right? I've heard people say it before. But this, you know what a revelation is, or a spiritual awakening? It's when something that you've heard or said or did before, but it just hits the right way. And I remember saying to myself, I have a brain that's trying to kill me, and I can't trust it. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, I was like, I'm looking at, it's like all making sense to me. It was about 110 days in, I said, I lied to myself. I set myself up. And then I said, holy shit, like that shit scared me, humbled me in a crazy way. I was like, I can't even trust my brain. My same brain that's been very good at keeping me, say, out of jail. And like, very, like, whatever. I had this, you know, it allowed me to have semi-good relationships with people or whatever, like I'm sharp, I pick up on things, but it's the same brain that is literally trying to kill me. I said, holy shit, I can't trust myself. I cannot, like, that's what, I mean, because every time I went to treatment, right, every time I went to treatment, they'd say, hey Mike, so I would tell them what was going on, and I'd say, I just had 6 months, or 5 months, or whatever, and they'd say, oh yeah, what happened? I'd say, I don't know, man, I was doing good, right? I didn't understand that I really wasn't doing good. Do you understand what I'm saying? I was just holding on for dear life, and that I could do that, but I wasn't. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, I look now, instead of just looking, especially the last time I was in treatment, I didn't just look at the last 6 months. I looked at the last 8 years.
Right.
I started looking at normal, and when someone explained to me what the real alcoholic was, or the alcoholic of the hopeless variety, somebody that cannot not drink, somebody that no matter how good, somebody that can get 6 months. But something always eventually takes you back to that. And the whole lying thing, and it's like, when I like I said, man, I was like, I'm sitting there. I might have been in the meeting, I might have been at home, I don't really know where it was. But I was like, holy shit. My brain is trying to kill me, and I don't even know. That, like I said, that scared me. Because everybody in here, you know, they'll say, yeah, man, I'm doing fine, I'm doing good. Because right now, they're able to center it and look at themselves and say, all right, man, I know what's up, I know what I gotta do, I know what it is, and I'm good. And what you have to understand is there will come a time and place that when you leave here, where your brain will be going, man, fuck that, this is bullshit. We can handle just 2. A drink will sound like the greatest idea, or a drug, or whatever, and like you will not know. You will never see it coming, and then
That's,
You're
you're
sure.
right, because me, I'm most dangerous to myself when I say I'm doing good. Because when I think I'm doing good, I'm more apt to let my guard down, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think I'm doing good, fuck a meeting, you know, I ain't gotta listen to none of this. I'll skip it this week, you know, and maybe get back into it next week, and next week never comes.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
Amy was saying that before, about how, like I was saying, I said this the other day, and Amy was saying, like, this is a disease, and it's classified as a mental health disease. And how many times have we heard people that they're on their meds and they're doing good?
Oh,
They're doing so good that they stop taking their meds,
Right.
and then some crazy shit happens, and they say, oh, they were off their meds.
It's
I
like
mean-
they say, you gotta get busy living or get busy dying. Like, this is a design for living, and so we either live it or we don't. You know, it's like Tupac said, you better, if you can't find something to live for, you best find something to die for. And he who has a why can bear any how, and that's what this program is like trying to give us, is a why, so that we can bear whatever comes our way, and we can overcome whatever comes our way and not succumb to the old ways and just self-destruct like we always do.
Well, yeah, because here's the deal. You've been looking at life the wrong way your whole life. And I was too. Like, I was completely, like I say all the time, like, I just wanted to do what I wanted to do, when I wanted to do it, and I didn't want to hear it from nobody. And I had realized that me getting what I want was not making me happy. And the more I got what I want, the more people around me were getting hurt and unhappy. And the truth is, all I wanted to do was draw people closer to me, but all I was really doing was pushing them all away and hurting them. Like my self-destructive to the core. And what I mean by that is, it's obvious to see how self-destructive we are by the way we do drugs or the way we sabotage relationships and stuff. But everything that it took for me to get better felt like pulling teeth. I didn't want to go to meetings every day. I didn't want to do the work. It said almost none of us, like the self-searching and the leveling of pride and the shit that it takes to consummate this. I didn't want to do none of that. But when I realized that I couldn't trust my brain, I said, maybe I don't want to do this. Because, do you understand what I'm saying? Like, that's what I realized. Like, of course I don't want to do it.
Self-sabotage.
Yeah, of course I don't want to do it. Because I want to kill myself. Holy shit, I really want to kill myself even though I don't want to die.
I almost don't want to ask you this because it's really none of my business and it doesn't really matter, but I just want to know out of curiosity, like, what is your conception of your higher power?
It's like a force, you know? And when you align yourself with that force, life can be as good as it could possibly be. My higher power doesn't have anything to do with disease or death or war or any type of decision that you make without God, to me, is a decision that's destined to fail. Like, and what is God? God is love. God is good. God is us. You know what I mean? So when I'm living selfishly, or when I want to do things, or when I'm trying to lie or cheat or steal, like, none of those decisions that I ever made had anything to do with God. But I truly believe that if you align yourself with as good as possible, and you do the right things for the right reasons, and you as selfless as possible, and you pray to, and like I said, like, to me, God is love. God is love. God is good. God is everything that's pure and right. And I mean, that's kind of how
And you're saying that we all, like, intuitively have this sense. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I believe that we are all, the blueprint was embedded in us when we were born. Because the more that you live selflessly, and the more that you help, because I really believe that every single human being was put on earth to reach, teach, love, and nurture each other. And when you're living like that, you feel better about yourself, you feel more useful. It just feels like things are clicking on all cylinders. Because guys, what was life like when we were living that way? Did you not feel conflicted? Did you not feel like the round
I hated myself, the world, everything around me.
square peg, like we're trying to force that square peg into that round hole? Like I say, the worst part for me was like the war the tug of war that was always going on in my brain. I wanted to do the right things, and I could do the right things a lot of times, but I couldn't stop doing the wrong things. And when I would do the wrong things, I'd hate myself over it. And I'd be like, okay, I'll be good, and I would do the right things. But I had this tug of war going on, and it was like I could never like get it right. No matter how hard I tried to just get it right, I couldn't get it right. It wasn't until I opened myself up to this. Because what you've heard me say this, when you do the 12 steps or any other program, it doesn't really give you that much. What it does is it takes away a lot. It takes away, it unblocked me. It unblocked me from, like I said, I had this blueprint in how to live life, but I had completely rewrote the blueprint to my liking. And the thing was, the way I was living was like not getting me where I wanted to be. Do you understand? Like, this was the way I should have been living my entire life, and I believe that. And here's the thing, I didn't even know who I was until I got to know God. I had decided, like I just told them this before, the greatest thing that ever happened to me was heroin, because it completely destroyed me. It broke me. Listen, how long you been here, Daniel?
26 days, 27 days.
I promise you, the first 21 days that I was in treatment, if I was in here, you guys would all be talking behind my back going, man, I hope he's okay. Is Mike all right? Because I could sit here for a little while with you guys, but I would go off and I would read and I would do this. And like for the most part, like especially in a group like this, like I kept my head down because I would get so like overwhelmed with emotion that sometimes tears would drop out of my eyes because I was broken. You know what I'm saying? So it was like it completely destroyed me. So now I build myself, like now I completely unblock myself and I start doing this, and it's like, you see how I am. You see how I come in here and I shake you guys' hands and I love you and I hug you and I do it. See, I was always like that, but I would never let you see that. Like the only people that ever really saw that were the people closest to me. Do you understand? Because I had to keep my guard up and I couldn't let you really know, and then I'm high half the time or sick half the time. Like, you know what I mean? So I never was, like, I was so embarrassed or ashamed to be this, like, loving, kind, and sensitive person, even though it would come out at times. You know what I'm saying? Like, I couldn't really be that. Like, when I realized, like, this is who God wanted me to be. I don't care. Like, I used to care so much about what people thought about me. All my self-esteem was what every single person thought of me. And I put this wall up, and I decided to be this person. Like I tell you all the time, like, I like the way Michael did certain things, I like the way Nathan did certain things, I like the way Ashley did certain things, so I take little pieces from all of this. You know what I mean? Now I am who I have always was supposed to be, who God wanted me to be. God to me is my conscience. God to me is that blueprint that was put into me when I was born before I even knew I was born. See, we grew up around these families that fuck us up. And this society that fucks us up. You know what I mean? And we are basically these human beings that are going, and we have been given bad information, and we formulated these ideas. And do you understand what I'm saying? This shit stripped me and scrubbed me and allowed me to align myself with exactly what my true purpose was. My sister-in-law says, it sounds like you've tapped into the universe, Michael. And I'm like, I don't know, maybe I did. You know, some of the conversations that we have, like, I don't know. All I know is that I hated the way I used to live before. I hated what I was doing to myself. I hated what I was doing to everybody else. I didn't feel very, you know, I just, man, constant conflict, constant, you know, I was like these two guys. I would get a thought and I would go with it. You know what I mean? Couldn't talk me out of anything. You know what I mean? Like, I had no idea. Like, and now sometimes I feel like, God, this guy in me. Remember I told you the two stories the other day about the Mexican lady and the black dude at the thing, and all these different types of things and these types of conversations that I have with you guys. And I mean, I feel like I've aligned myself with God's plan for me. Do you understand? I don't think that there was a guy up in the sky who's every single person's born and he says, I want him to do this. Like, I feel like all of us as human beings, we were put on earth for love. That to me should be the only religion, love. Because when you're acting out of love and understanding and kindness, like, how can you go wrong? It's like when we start trying to get our way or take things from people. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's when everything gets all messed up. Anybody else? Thank you. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, actually, I was gonna say, I agree with what you said about like forcing things. It felt like more like this time around I was forcing everything to come my way as opposed like it being easily accessible like earlier in my addiction. Like I was going against like universal laws that you can't see. You know what I'm saying? Like my higher power was telling me like this is the time, like there's a certain time enough is enough. You know what I'm saying? Like I had to do a lot more to try to get to where I was trying to go. And then I had to put in so much effort and when I finally got it, like it was just I'm still miserable, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, I agree with that.
People ask me all the time, well, how do I know what God's plan is and what this and what that is? And I'm like, if you're trying to force it, it ain't God's plan. You know what I mean? Because listen, this is what they told me. Michael, you need to pray. Right? You need to pray, go to meetings, sponsor, do this, like get up, stay sober, do this, do that, and the rest will take care of itself. I'm like, the rest will take care of itself. Like, yeah, like I'm like, are you kidding me? You know what type of lifestyle I used to live? I was like juggling 10 chainsaws at a time. You're telling me I need to just let it all go? All right. You know what I'm saying?
I might get my arm cut off.
Yeah. Well, I said, while I'm in Texas, I'll do that. But when it don't work, I'll go back to New York and fuck everything up. You know what I mean? Like that's basically what and holy shit. Like holy shit, it worked. I mean, guys, I promise you, man, when you align yourself with this, man, so many people have the craziest story. It says right in the book, like, you know, miracles will happen and great things will come to pass. This is a fact for us. Like, it doesn't, I mean, it just, you align yourself. It's like you get up in that HOV lane. You know what I mean? And you just kind of go with the flow instead of trying to go the opposite way or one way. Come on. Is that not what life has felt like for a long time? Like I'm in a one way and I'm going against traffic and ducking and dodging and weaving and all the shit that I gotta do and then boom, I get hit once in a while and I gotta, you know what I mean? Now the consequences of that, I gotta scrape and I boom and I get back in, I'm doing the same goddamn thing overall. It's exhausting. It's exhausting. Man, life is easy for me now. And you know what I mean? Like life is still life. Life is still gonna be what it is. But I mean,
you're not making it any harder than it has to be.
yeah, exactly. Sometimes I'm so goddamn free. Like sometimes I feel guilty. I talk to my friends in New York, or I see how much unnecessary struggling there is, right? Because here's the whole thing. God forbid, one of my parents gets cancer today, or whatever the case is, right? Like that is life. That is just the fallibility of the flesh. It's just the things that happen. But would getting high make that shit worse on them and myself? Right? Like, because that's just life, man. Everybody has to deal with that. This is the one thing, and everything I say is a fact and true, right? But here's one thing that every single human being on this planet Earth, during their life is going to go through pain. The way you go through things determines the type of person you are, right? Like, it's like how you handle things will determine the rest of your life. How have we been handling our pain? Running from it, running and hiding, and you know what I mean? Like,
And it's crazy because we're running from the very thing that is meant to teach us. You know, it's like without, you know, no pain, no gain. Without pain, you don't learn, you don't grow. You know?
well, here's the whole thing too. What's our lifestyle? Listen, just because we're getting high sometimes, how much pain and struggle and shit are we causing other people and ourselves? Listen, when it says those of us who've been afflicted with, those of us affected with, what it says in the book about alcohol torture. Like, I love how it says that, because that's the way my life was. It was torture. Even the best of times, I still lived in nothing but fear and anxiety and worry and depression. Like, even
but
at
you
the
never noticed that
default.
You got it right.
well, yeah, well, 100%,
Right.
100%. If you would have asked me all the time, how you doing, Mike? Fine. I didn't know how unfine I was.
Right.
You know what I mean? I was just going through life. Why do you think I do what I do here? Because I know where you're at, I know where you could be, and I know exactly what you need to do to get there, and it ain't that, you're just 12 steps, every single person in here is 12 steps away from freedom. You know what I mean? 12 steps away from, like, feeling like, I mean, listen, because I know it varies with us, but when I say, like Arthur, what you said before about wanting to kill yourself, holy shit. If I had any heart, I probably would blow my brain off blew my brains out years, you know what I mean? Like, I just wasn't built like that. So I'll just do suicide by the installment plan, stick needles in my arms and as much like, I mean, I definitely, life was, I mean, like I said, it was nothing but a struggle, a chore. I mean, it was just every waking moment. The only time I ever had any type of serenity is when I had hit the right margin. And that always goes away, don't it? We always gotta wake up the next morning, right?
Yeah, and I know, like, for me, like, the last time I came in here, I was a lot worse off. I think you came and picked me up from that hotel, right?
Possibly.
Yeah.
I picked you up like 4 times.
But I was way worse off, and I think the difference that I'm hoping that will make the difference this time is that I'm not running from like negative consequences. It's just that I want something better. Like I don't want what I had. It's like it's not the like necessarily even the consequences, because like I said, I was way worse off, physically, whenever I came in last time. And this time it's just like, I'm just tired of it. I just want something more. Well, that's and what am I willing to do for that? Well, whatever the fuck y'all tell me to do.
And this is the one thing I want to say. That life is always going to be out there waiting for you. The life that's over here, it just takes hard work, perseverance, honesty, open-minded, willingness. Like I said, all I did was get out of my own way. William, all I did was get out of my own way. I didn't force anything. I didn't have any great ideas. I started taking advice from people. I started doing whatever. You know what I mean? Like, okay, whatever. I took the time, I got lucky. I got lucky having to come to Texas. You know what I mean? Like, it was God's plan. God had laid out the plan, and the only thing I didn't do was jump off the, do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, the fact that I wound up in Texas, miracle. The fact that I wound up going to, it just, even the way I got this job, absolute miracle. Just spurred, just chance. You know what I mean? And I get a chance to come here and help people and inspire people and love on people and reach people and teach people. To me, this is the only thing worth talking about. This is what life is about. Fuck the other bullshit. All right, guys, go. Dinner time.